Happy birthday. When did you start inventing birthdays? Did you invent the birthday song?
Birthday is a day that you have when you're born,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about your birth.
Right. So here it already starts, everybody. So we're letting you know right now that Phil's going to have some issues on his side as far as the internet goes today because he's just going to have those kind of issues. So he's going to freeze. The over under is 3.5, and it only took him 1 minute already to freeze and get kicked out of the show. So he'll be popping in and out as a color man this afternoon, and hopefully not during his segment of striking news a little bit later. But this is what we're going to deal with all show. So not only does the toxicity extend all the way to the internet in San Antonio right now, so yeah, I guess nobody asked for new internet for him, and he didn't ask for it himself, so this is what we get. We're going to get this kind of stuff. But I'm going to start off the show by posting the WooBox link. And then when Phil drops in, I'm going to have him read you the rules. Not read you. It's all, he talks about it. He knows it by heart. So there we go. We got Phil back. Phil, tell him the rules of the WooBox there.
Oh, we're up to that part already? What'd I miss?
I jumped right into the WooBox.
So Nick puts up a woo box. You put your name in the woo box. If you're a staffer, don't do it. And then at the end of the show, about 3 o'clock in 55 minutes or so, the box was shut down, no more entries, and Nick will arbitrarily, allegedly, select the winner randomly. And that person will have 90 seconds, put you on the clock, to let us know if you're in the show. And if you are, we'll give you a second spin if you don't like the first prize. If you get a grip sack, we're going to give you a second spin. You get a grip sack again, we'll give you a third spin.
But what if somebody wants the grip sack? What if they get grip sack?
Well, you
and
can
they want
stop at any time and say, I'll just take the grip sack because I don't want to be abused for picking something else and not getting it.
I think if you get grip sack on the first try, you should just keep it because we'll talk about you forever. That's all.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the computer, I don't know what's going on today, again, with the internet.
You're having all sorts of issues.
I am.
You need to bite
I think
the
we're going to have to
bullet.
find another platform for this thing.
I think we need to find another laptop for you to work on. That's what I think. And he's frozen again. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back, and we're going to see what the practice spin is all about because he's frozen again. So give it a nice practice spin. See if I can get it on 3-ball arsenal. The first roll. Oh, it might. Nope. Oh, man. New ball. That's what it's primed for right now. So we'll wait for Phil to come back. But yeah, once again, Phil had his 72nd birthday yesterday. We contemplated doing the show for him yesterday, but I didn't want to affect our ratings on Wednesdays because it's very important. So once we get Phil back, we'll get right into the striking news and talk about all that. But yeah, the topic for today is the bowling community toxic? So I want to get that topic kind of seeded into your brains, get that on your mind because we'll be talking about that. I hope we'll be talking about that today. Otherwise, it's just going to be me talking about that. But yeah, Phil is having all sorts of internet issues today. Just going to throw that out there. It's not something he can blame me for this time. But hey, we'll get through this show. We will do our best, won't we, Phil? It landed on new ball, by the way.
Did it really?
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be a good time.
I would have picked that.
I would have kept it.
I would have went for the grip sack.
Hey, no one's thrown back a new ball yet.
That's true. Well, you never know. We could have that. We've had people throw back shoes, triple bag,
yeah,
backpack,
yeah.
You know,
all sorts of great prizes, I tell you.
I know it. I know it.
So what I was saying is, you didn't ask for anything for your birthday. You're a very humble man. You didn't ask for new internet. You didn't ask for nothing.
I didn't.
You didn't. Maybe if you went to the city council down there, one of the
Yeah.
meetings, and ask for better internet, maybe they'll put fiber in your area.
Maybe that's what they're doing, and that's the problem.
Maybe
I don't know.
that's, I don't know either. I'm just
But you
saying
know
that
what? This hasn't been good for a while.
issues,
I
lots
think
of
we need
issues.
to move this to Tuesday because I hear the internet is better on Tuesday.
It's fresher, right? Like the meat
It's
market.
fresher. It's earlier in the week. There's less internet drained out
Yeah,
by Tuesday.
is that right? Hmm.
Yeah. You know,
So interesting.
we could do that, by the way.
What? Do it Tuesdays?
Yeah, we can do Tuesdays.
Nobody will watch out on Tuesdays.
The people that don't watch on Wednesday would watch on Tuesday.
Well, maybe they're busy on Tuesdays. Maybe they got it set. Maybe they
Let me
skip
tell you
their
something. We
league.
get 400 people at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time on a Wednesday. People aren't doing anything anyway.
Hey, they could be at work right now. They're getting paid on the hour.
Oh, yeah.
They got us in the headphones. Maybe they're not watching us. They're just listening. You never know.
That's true. It could happen. Or they're driving. People do that.
Yeah,
they drive.
that's
Yeah.
highly illegal. But hey,
Well,
more power
know.
to you.
absolutely. So, anyhow, what's our topic for today?
Is the bowling community toxic? That's the topic today.
That's a good topic, by the way. I got some notes,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see how this discussion goes. I do have some breaking news.
Are we ready for that?
Well, let's do it while I still have juice. If we go to the breaking news and I'm not here when we come back,
All
make something up.
right. Thanks.
It's the striking news! Bowling news and views from around the world with your hosts, Brunsnick and Phil Cardinelli. It's the striking news!
Thank
still
you.
there?
Rob
You still
Johnson.
there?
I'm still here.
Ah, it's nice.
So anyway, last night I bowl league, and then I come home and I usually watch America's Got Talent. I like that show. And then I check what else recorded, and the bowling recorded,
Oh, nice.
and I had forgotten all about it, so I flipped.
Oh, this is going to be a very long show. Let me tell you. So we'll just have to come back to the striking news. I know it kind of what he has to talk about, but unfortunately, he has all the striking news because he has one job. That's it. One job is to deliver the news. If this was any, I don't know, syndicate in the world delivering the news, he would have been fired long time ago. Maybe not ABC, but he would have been probably at least written up. But it's just going to be, yeah, I'm going to go through some chat stuff real quick because there was a question in there. Someone asked, "Hi, Nick. Would it be possible to enable live Q&A function in the live stream? Is there a way to place that separate from the chat?" As far as I know, no. There is no other way. So if you have questions, we get to as many as we can during the show, but sometimes we don't have enough time to get through them all. So the chat is the way you need to communicate with us. So Phil's back. We'll give this another shot. All right.
Where were we?
You were watching bowling on a nice...
Yeah. So they have the LBC National Championship Clash, and I guess what it is people from different divisions join bowling this tournament over the summer at Valero somewhere. I think it's in Illinois, and you qualify in each division, and then they take a couple of people from each division and they put them on a TV show. First prize is 60 grand, and it's a best ball. Low guy is out. So anyway, this girl, Gianna Brandolino, 17 years old from Illinois, she could have bowled in the girls division, but she decides that she's going to try to qualify in the women's open division. So she bowls against all of the women pros, right? She qualifies second. Liz Johnson beats her, but they take two for the show. So she gets on the show as the they call it classic division entrant, and it goes through people striking. Now, who was on the show? Prather, Kroll, Lenny Borsch, Graham Farr, Liz Johnson. It was a pretty good field.
Stars.
And then amateurs, right?
Yeah, sure.
And she averaged 232 in qualifying for 6 games.
Wow.
That's pretty strong. Now, I don't know what the pattern is. We can get into the pattern in the toxicity part. But anyway,
Easy. That's the pattern.
yeah, easy. So anyway, it comes down to her and Chris Prather are the two left for 60 grand.
Wow.
Second is 10,000. So we're bowling for 50. So Chris gets up, and if he strikes, he forces her to strike. He gets 7. Oh, God.
Hey, that's a
You
lot
know,
of money.
even if he got 9, it was like you forced the girl to strike.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and she got up and got 9. She won 60 grand in scholarship money.
That's pretty much going to pay for all of her education, just about.
Well, yeah, I don't know all, but she's going to Jacksonville State,
Okay.
probably on a scholarship, I would
Hey.
assume.
I would think
You know.
combined with all the stuff she's probably already bowled and cashed in for scholarships.
Yeah. But I don't know much about that with the smart thing. Do you get that money if you don't use it when you're an adult, or is it always in the coffers?
I don't exactly know. Now, after
Okay.
I use smart funds.
Oh, they had
After-
that when you were bowling? They had that when you were a kid?
At the very end, they switched it
Yeah.
over to smart funds.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably right around the turn of the century, I would think. 2000, 2001, 2, somewhere in there they did it.
That sounds very old when you say turn of the century.
I
I
know.
remember when it was the turn of the century.
Hey, we were both born last century.
I remember the turn of the century.
Yeah, at the turn of the century. Hey, might as well get used to it, right?
Yeah, right? I won't see the next turn, but anyway.
Hey, you never know. With advancements today, you never know.
No, yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll
You
see.
should just freeze yourself. I mean, you've frozen enough this show, so maybe you can freeze yourself one more time and then
It'd be me and Ted Williams. and
thaw
Walt Disney.
you out at the next millennia.
Yeah, Ted Williams and Walt Disney.
Hmm.
Perfect. There's a trio. It's 3 amigos. Make a movie.
Perfect.
Anyway.
What else you got on the news? Anything?
No, that's all the news I have for today because I wanted to keep it short in case I froze.
Right, because you knew that was going to happen.
I knew that was going to happen.
You know everything.
I do.
Especially
So
when,
anyway.
when you invented it all.
I invented news.
I'm going to put the link up for the Woo Box one more time. So
You know the rules. I'm not going to go over the rules again.
just
But,
enter. If you're on staff, don't enter. Simple.
Don't enter if
cool.
you're on staff. If you aren't on staff, enter. We give away cool stuff, and we never charge a dime. And we give away stuff. I'm going broke with that 3-ball Arsenal.
I actually rigged the wheel this week. I put a little stickum over by
That's
the
what I need.
3-ball Arsenal.
So it sticks there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we just give everybody a 3-ball Arsenal that tunes in next week?
I don't think that's a good idea for you.
I think that's a good idea.
We could barely afford the one.
Oh boy. Nice.
We're out of grip sacks, and we haven't even sold any this week.
Yeah, I'm back ordered on grip sacks. Sales are 0. So anyway, topic today is the bowling community toxic?
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting when you told me about that topic, and it was a good idea that you brought this one up. You get several good ideas a year. Just don't waste them. And I started thinking about when did it get toxic? Not is it?
Mm-hmm.
When?
When?
Okay.
Can you think of
Yeah, when?
can you think of a time where bowling community or bowlers in general just
Yeah.
soured?
Yeah, it's funny because I sort of equated it to the time of the internet more so than any other time. And I'll tell you what was interesting. When the scoring pace was different, and I'm not saying better or worse, so I don't have an opinion on that. But when the scoring pace was different and the parameters to bowl well were different, there was less toxicity. The people did not complain about a bowler as much.
When
Bowlers
they
had
didn't
unique
have the
styles.
platform to do it?
Well, I don't know if it was the platform, but even in league or action bowling at the time, you had few people complain about here's what I lived through was the lefty righty deal. Every time a
Maybe that
lefty
was the
bowled
start.
good,
Maybe that was
yeah,
the
that
start.
might have been it. But every time a lefty bowled good, it was the left side was easy,
Mhm.
and the righties always had to struggle and move, and I got tired of it after a while. I just told the guy who's complained to me, go talk to the lane man. I just showed up. So, I don't even want to hear it.
Pay 'em
But
more.
that, yeah, right. That was all that I really heard complaining about was lefty righty.
Mhm.
And then when the scoring pace got high, it sort of changed it a little bit because the higher scoring pace allowed different style of bowlers to be successful.
Mm.
And bowlers that could do something that another bowler couldn't do. And I'll give you an example. If I said to you, because you used to play golf,
Nice.
and
Nice subtle
I
dig. Very toxic of you. Go ahead.
and I said to you, what one aspect of your game could you perfect it and be as good as Tiger Woods?
What one thing
One aspect of your game could you practice on forever
and be as good?
and be as good as Tiger Woods?
Probably nothing, except
That's
for
not
maybe
true.
probably going to the snack bar and getting a snack at the turn.
Not true. Not true.
So what is it?
Putting. You can go putt
Mm-hmm.
and learn to putt and be as good as anybody on the planet.
Well, I mean, that's why I bought all those putters, because one of them is going to have the magic
No,
cut.
because sometimes it's not the putter, it's the putter. But anyway, so when you think about the old style bowler, you could emulate that more readily,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, smooth five step or four step approach. Hit your target, keep your hand behind the ball. I mean, those are things you could learn and become more proficient at. So there was less complaining about the style. Earl Anthony was the greatest, and he really did nothing that was not
It was pretty unspectacular
unreachable.
to watch. A lot of those old
what?
bowlers, old time bowlers,
Right.
legends, very
Right.
very unremarkable as far as their form,
Absolutely.
their power,
But
the way they deliver the ball.
100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually go bowl like Earl Anthony if you practiced and dedicated it. You could possibly become that accurate and possibly have a repetition in your game.
People
It was
say,
achievable.
People say I'm like the mirror image of Parker Bowen when I bowl lefty.
Which people said that, Nick?
Some people.
Some who? Give me one.
I don't name names on this show.
Yeah, I understand.
They prefer to have their identities concealed. Do you need me to show you a video of
I watched it.
Parker Bone?
No, I watched you and I thought it was Parker Bone. No.
Exactly my point.
Anyway,
Someone says blind people. That's rude.
I didn't want to say that, but I was thinking it. It was
Yeah. Yeah. You
So,
got your
um,
burner accounts logged in on your
I
laptop.
do,
huh?
don't I? Yeah. So what I was saying is, so when you looked at a guy like that bowl, you could go to the lanes, and I've done it when I first started bowling, is try to imitate that bowler. It was conceivable that I could imitate that bowler.
Mhm.
It wasn't out of my physical realm of possibilities. As the lanes got easier and the premium on accuracy became less and less, people become more aggressive with their release because it didn't really have to go in the same spot every time.
No. Area.
And that
Area bowlers.
and area bowlers. And then that became the issue to the bowlers that were of the classic style.
Where they
That guy
relied
throws it
on
everywhere.
Consistency
He just
and shot making and tweaks versus raw
correct.
power.
So I think that's when toxicity started. When people couldn't do what certain bowlers did, and they blamed it because the pattern allowed that to happen. So if I had to go put my finger on it, it was like July 27th, 19, whatever. Right? But I'm saying, so that to me, that's when it happened. And then what happened to make it compounded that was the internet allowed people to have a forum to do that.
Yeah. everyone's got a voice now, and they sure as hell make a
Yeah.
point to be heard.
Correct.
Some people even
Correct.
go as far to make podcasts.
It's amazing what's allowed nowadays.
Hey,
But you know, it's
not,
fine.
e-
I
It's
mean,
not
it's just-
regulated at all. Anybody can just start a podcast. Look at us.
Look at us. Look what we did. You know, and the problem is, there's really no fact checking, and that's what causes the toxicity. I'll tell you what I think it does. The person makes a statement, whether or not they know what they're talking about is irrelevant. They make a statement, and there's no formal fact check. You know, you're wrong, and here's why. Blah 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 blah. What happens is the other guy takes the opposing side. And
No matter
now you
what.
have a toxic situation.
Yeah.
You're this, you're that, your mama's mama, and
Your
then
mom.
it goes on. You know? And then it goes on and on and on. So I think it starts with the game has changed where less of a premium is put on shot making for the most part. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying the guy that can't do that complains about the guy that can. The guy that can do that says, well, you just can't do it. That's why you're upset. And the guy says, you have no talent. You have to, I remember when I used to have to hit a spot. I could hit a dime 40 feet down the lane, you know.
I
What are you,
still
William
see it.
Tell?
Like, oh, back in my day, we had to we would have split boards with a polyester
exactly.
ball. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Right, exactly. It's evolution.
then why didn't you do
You
it?
know.
Because I would have heard your
Yeah.
name.
Right. When my grandfather came to this country, he drove a buggy with in Brooklyn with a cart with a horse on it. I don't know. But now, why do you still do that? Well, you know what? I don't think it's good for the horse. So
Or the yoke.
you have to understand that the game changed, and then there was a platform given to people to complain about the change.
Sure.
Before, the complaints were only the 5, 6 guys, 10 guys in the bar after league complaining
It
about
wasn't
the
at
shot.
the start of the internet. I think the whole message forums, like ball.
Oh yeah, you're
forum-
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
internet.
that's where
Yeah,
all
yeah.
sorts of toxic behavior started. Was in message forums, like the PBA forums when those started up. Long
yeah.
time
That's
ago.
still internet, right? That's internet.
It's internet, but it's
Yeah.
it's the platform. So before, like, what'd you have?
Right.
AOL, at the start of the internet, like
I didn't
Yahoo
even have
shit,
any
yeah.
of it.
Right,
Exactly.
But in order to
Right.
have an audience, you either had to have a website.
yeah.
There's no way to communicate to the other world except for like Messenger and email, and that was
Right.
pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the I don't know what the other bowling forum. You used to be on it all the time, and people would argue with me, and I got off it. I'm saying I don't need this.
Ball reviews.
Ball reviews.
Yeah.
People get on there and argue with you. Like, what are you
Right.
arguing me for?
Yeah.
The guy yelling, like, typing in capital letters like he's yelling at me, So I stopped going on it because it got out of control.
Yeah. now
But
it's
here's the
dead.
interesting thing. You have different avenues where there's bickering. You have the one-hander versus the two-hander.
Yeah, all sorts
I
of
mean, Joey
subcategories
Pants.
now, right?
Joey Pants is the poster child for one-handers.
Mhm.
And then the two-handers. He has his own opinion. He's a classic of style bowler. He's fantastic.
Right.
You watch Joey bowl. It's like smooth as silk. He's great, but
He's from the old
he-
school.
old school, right? And then the two-hander is the other side of it because that's a generation. But what allowed the two-hander to be successful, in my opinion, is the patterns that were put out that allowed there to be more forgiveness, so the guy pursued it.
Sure.
If in my opinion, again, if they bowled on the gutter-to-gutter flat oil with a rag, I think they would not have. There wouldn't be as many because they would not see the success, and then they would change because they didn't want to put the time in to try to learn it.
I mean,
Now
I don't entirely agree with that because I think
that's good.
for the most people that are getting into bowling, young kids primarily, when they want to learn to bowl,
Right?
they see on TV two-handers
Yeah,
have all
absolutely.
these revolutions, and it's all about revs.
Correct.
So they try it with the thumb. They
Yeah.
can't rev it like them. They take their thumb
Right.
out. All of a sudden, I got all these revs.
Right.
That's that foundation of it.
Well, but that's the rev part. But the result of that has to be positive reinforcement. So if they're missing the head pin every time they did that, because the pattern wouldn't allow them to throw it to an area,
But they're
would
not
they
starting
not
on those
continue to do
patterns.
it?
They're starting bowling their leagues and they're in high school teams and stuff like that.
That
You know,
right.
those aren't typically tough patterns that they're bowling
That's
on.
what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So the pattern is allowing them to see success.
Sure, so you get the confidence,
Right.
and all of a sudden you want
That's
to
what I
be
mean.
challenged.
Yes, I agree with you.
And the better ones are going to learn how to bowl on those patterns and get consistent.
Correct.
They can be consistent. There's two-handers all
Yeah.
over the world.
No,
that
no,
are,
I agree with
yeah,
you. They become consistent.
Sure.
Right. But in the infancy of it, it's the reward of throwing it with all those revs and still missing by 6 or 7 boards and throwing a strike gives you a little bit of a positive thing.
I disagree with
Next
Phil.
question for
I mean, it's in the spirit of the show that I got to disagree with you.
Absolutely. No, and I agree with what you just said. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that there's a reward for that. When I went and practiced when I first started to learn how to bowl, I had to hit a target in order to make the ball perform properly so I could achieve that strike. Okay, and then it became how accurate can I be? And then there's, Tom Kouros wrote a book, Par Bowling, where he put like a scale and it showed the balance of the scale, and there was a fine line between accuracy and power. And the more power you had, the less accurate you had to be.
To a
So
degree, I think it's kind of antiquated now because some of the most revving players out there are accurate within a board.
That's exactly right.
You
Those are the
know-
greatest bowlers in the world.
Yeah, and you see them every week.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I
Right.
think I have
Right.
that book by Tom Cruise, Par
Yeah,
Bowling.
it's pretty
right?
cool. I
Is
mean,
that
when
the
you
one?
think about it, yeah, par bowling. And at the time, Mark Roth was the player that was tilted the scale. He had power and accuracy, but he wasn't, say, as accurate as, a Pete Couture or a guy like that on tour. But yet he had the power, so he compensated for any inaccuracies. Now it's now on a normal condition, it's really tilted. You know what I mean? So anyway, you have that. Then you have the lefty righty. You have the one-handed, two-handed. The next thing you have, I'm not going in any chronological order, is string pin versus free fall.
You're getting into some new toxic stuff.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because what I like about this is the people that are complaining about the string pin know nothing about it.
Just what they saw on a few internet clips.
No, or what they heard from somebody else who complained about it, who they saw on the internet. It's if you haven't tried it, and this is what drives me crazy, is how can you be so opinionated if you haven't done it?
Or haven't bowled on it or tried.
So, I mean,
or,
you haven't
yeah.
tried it, you haven't done anything. So then they get into this big thing about, that's ruining the game. Well, how do you know what's ruining the game?
You could bowl a whole season on string pin and not average any different than you did before. Like,
Absolutely.
we know what the USBC said, roughly about 7 pins or whatever it is.
Maybe, right?
Yes, the pins are going to fall different. Yes, you're going to get some hits that you maybe didn't. And
Right,
yes, you're
right.
going to not get some hits that you maybe had. It might
Yes.
equalize the whole two-hand, one-hand thing, wouldn't it?
It will equalize the two-hand, one-hand thing. It will.
You might
Because
not
there
get the
aren't as
bucket
many
crumb- yeah.
messengers.
Yeah, you might not get the 2-8-10 crumbler. You might not get that bucket crumbler.
Absolutely. Joey Pants and I had a conversation in York, Pennsylvania about it. And he said the cool thing about it was, and he how much he loves two-handers, is that it was sort of the equalizer for two-handers. They had to have you had to have pocket hits. You didn't have that messenger going back and forth across the lane 2 or 3 times like some of them get. So it sort of took that away. And then, the complaining about it ruining the game. There have been so many evolutionary changes in bowling for so long. I mean, you go back to the days of the wood versus the synthetic. Before that, you had shellac. I like that word.
Shellac. I love
I
that
like
word.
that. Put the shellac on a lane. You had shellac. Then you
You
had
gotta
lacquer.
say that with like a cigar in your mouth.
Oh
like,
yeah,
hanging
yeah,
halfway
yeah.
out.
And a towel in your other hand, like like the, yeah, I'm bowling on a shellac.
You sound just like everybody I would imagine doing that, right?
That's what it's got to sound like.
Yeah.
They shellacked the lanes last week. Look at them. Yeah.
You can only say that word from the side of your mouth.
It's not a front mouth word.
Shellac.
Shellac. Um, so you go from shellac to the lacquer, then lacquer to a water-based finish that was put on it because bowling centers were burning down from the shellac.
From people's cigar ashes igniting the shellac.
Yeah, you have a place where they just put shellac on the lanes over the weekend. It smells like it's going to blow up, and there's guys with smoking cigars and cigarettes. I mean, it's just incredible. What could possibly go wrong here? Nothing, right? Yeah. So you have that happen, and people complain. Then they went to synthetic lanes, and they had the same thing. Oh, that's going to ruin the lane. There's no, No, first they complained that there was too much variation. Then they complained there was no variation.
Yeah, right. It's not real bowling. Yeah, that's one of the notes I had was just changes in the industry are met with such extreme reactions and responses.
Right.
Like especially you hear about it when the USBC study came out on the string pin stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, they might as well just turn the comments off on that post because
Absolutely.
they knew what they were throwing gasoline on the fire. It's like it's already sensitive, and now it's like, oh, this is the study. This is what we found. This is what our data concluded. Oh no, no.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that are commenting aren't people in a position to be in the know.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like you said, social media has given everybody a platform to voice their opinion. It's so easy to hop on Facebook or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I think it should be this.
Type in your little thoughts and then press send, and then
wait.
back.
And wait.
And then wait.
And wait. I mean, so you had that. Then you go back even a little bit further back when urethane went to resin balls.
Yeah.
They called the ball a cheater ball.
And that's pretty toxic.
Really? Right? Here's a guy comes out with a company, Steve Cooper, finds this magical formula, and he stumbled upon it
by accident. Uh-oh. Hey, that was actually pretty darn good right there, Phil. He got through about 25 minutes, but he finally froze again. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping while we're waiting on Phil here to come back and reset his internet. I think the meter ran out, and he had to put a couple of quarters in his router over there. So I'm going to post the Woo box one more time. And, get your name in. All you have to do is email, put your name in. Hopefully you win. We'll be drawing after the top of the hour. We'll pick a winner. We'll see how long this topic goes. I think we've had a lot of good discussion, a lot of good comments so far. I'm going to go through a couple of them while we're kind of waiting on Phil to get through here. Grandpa, Phil's internet is toxic. Yeah, 100% it is. Some days are better than others. During our pre-show checks, his mic wasn't working. And then after he got his mic working, then his internet issues started up already. So I knew it was going to be a bad show before we got on the air. And that's what he gets. This is his penance for making fun of my internet for so long. And so you there?
I'm back.
He's back. Someone
Maybe.
says your internet's toxic. I had to
It
agree.
is.
So
It is.
You put two quarters back in your router? What'd you do?
I did. I just went to the Wi-Fi. I went to instead of I don't know what it's called. Instead of
I mean,
being
you
plugged in, I
lasted
went to
almost
Wi-Fi.
25 minutes there. So
I know. If I do that again, we're good, right? If I can make another 25, we're good.
Something like that. Hopefully, whatever you just did, hopefully you did it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I wasn't gone that long. So I was talking about the urethane resin scenario. This poor guy, Steve Cooper, he starts a company, stumbles upon this resin material that's so different, and everything falls into place. The American Bowling Congress mandates that you could have short oil. That made the ball hook down lane, but it hooked sharper off the spot. And all of a sudden, people are calling it a cheater ball. Not what a great invention for bowling. It's a cheater ball.
Cheater ball.
So now you got people arguing both sides of that. And then it evolves into nowadays where people are complaining again. Now it's the other way. They're complaining about urethane.
Purple Hammer's a cheater ball.
Purple Hammer's a cheater ball. Oh, that ball's it's all over the world now. Europe is now talking about banning the ball from competition because the ball wins too many tournaments. This is all because of the internet.
It's literally like 40-year-old technology.
Right. It's 40-year-old
damn it.
technology is now winning, and it's of course it's the ball, not the lane conditions that they put out. It's the ball.
And not the players that are using them, because obviously, all you have to do is just
Yeah.
get a purple hammer and you can win tournaments.
And you win.
right?
No, everybody wins. Everybody's tied for first. That through Purple Hammer.
And the funny thing
So-
is,
so-
how many purple hammer balls actually won PBA Tour tournaments? Can you count them?
This year, I don't think
just
any.
in the history of that.
Oh, in the
ball,
history, I don't think a
Not-
lot did, but a lot
not
made
many-
shows.
Not many.
No.
That's the whole
I
thing.
bet.
Not
I bet.
many. So
I
it's
bet.
like
So
whatever.
So
I'm gonna
why
take
do
a
you
question
think-
I'm going to take a question real
go ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
Because
Yeah.
he keeps asking, Scotty, buddy, is dot technology in the works for radical balls? But
You want to
No.
answer? Or you want me to do it?
you go ahead.
No, it's not right now.
There you go.
We
There's
have
your-
less than a 0.5% failure rate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change all of our drawings and our cores and just to have dot to pick up a tenth of a 16th of a 23rd of a 52nd of a percent.
I don't know. I think
And
we should
failure rate.
challenge Stevie Fresh on designing some balls with dot.
Yeah, but then I got to do all new core design. I got to do all new
I
molds.
don't.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not doing it.
have. I don't have my little violin right now, but
I'm not doing it.
I think your attitude's toxic
answer.
right now.
I have a toxic attitude. So let me ask you a question. What do you think the toxic level in bowling is right now? Is it at an all-time high?
I don't. Maybe yes, maybe no, and I can pinpoint another big area of
Yeah.
toxicity, and that's regional and amateur staff.
Okay.
Once
Oh yeah.
companies started
Yeah.
signing, not necessarily pros, but good
Yeah.
amateur level, local amateurs, people in pro shops. I think there's a lot of toxicity that happened from that,
Right.
with others in their area feeling like they were more deserving because,
Right.
oh, I average higher than that person. Oh, I have more honor scores than that person. Why is this
Right.
person on staff and I can't even get a call back? They don't.
Yeah.
They don't recognize me, but they see this person.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hate on that person. I'm gonna bring it up
Right.
publicly why they're on staff.
Yeah.
All that stuff goes on so often. It's
You're right.
one, jealousy. Two, they don't know the whole story. Scores and
And the-
high scores and average and all that stuff
Right.
is not the first thing we look at.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to be able to throw a bowling ball. Yes. What can you do to help the brands? That's way more important. So
You're right, and you just triggered the whole thing. You said they don't know, and that's you could start that with every one of these sentences when they start the toxic conversations. They don't know, and that's why it creates a toxic situation. They don't know about string pin. They don't know about left-handed, right, one-handed versus two-handed. They don't know, but yet they have the opinion that they do know. Like the first guy, like you said, when the guy says, well, how come I'm not on staff? I have a better score than he does. Well, you don't know, obviously. That's not the reason we picked that guy.
it's the problem is everybody is so worried about what everybody else is doing. They're
Correct.
not worried about their own brand or their own image.
Yeah.
They're not worried about any of that. They
Right,
just want to
exactly.
go and complain about what they don't have. If you want something
Yes.
bad enough, figure out what it's going to
Yeah.
take to get there and work harder than everybody else.
Right. I think you have to, and that's what I don't like about the internet is that I'm not a communist, or I don't think you have freedom of speech. What I think it should be self-monitored, where you sit there and think, do I really know enough about this to make this post? Or am I just asking a question? And that's another one that drives me crazy. The poor guy asks a question and 85 people jump down his throat. Maybe the guy really doesn't know.
Yeah.
And you get some questions for the average person, the average bowler, you may say, that's really a dumbass question. But in reality, the guy maybe really doesn't know, or he wants to feel loved. And that's the other thing.
You're
The guy gets
absolutely
on the
right.
internet,
They
he
could
wants to be part of a group.
genuinely interested in learning because at some
Correct.
point everybody didn't know that answer. You know,
I did, but not everybody else. But
right?
you're
Because you
right.
invented everything
I
there was to
invented
know
it,
about
right?
bowling.
Yeah.
But that
But
person
it's
is
funny.
asking the question and
Correct.
wants the answer, which is seems dumb to
Yeah.
an experienced player, but
Right.
they forget that it's not everyday common knowledge on a lot of this stuff. And instead of
Yeah.
being helpful, they be condescending. They
Right.
maybe say the wrong answer. They make fun of them, call
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
whatever. It's just
Yeah.
terrible.
And and the worst part of that is the guy that's condescending and giving the wrong answer is not the genius either.
He's
In
probably
his
not on
mind, he
staff.
is. He's yeah. In his mind, he is. You know, I mean, it's just. I don't even watch it as much the internet as much as I used to for that reason. You know, I go in there and look for stuff on our page that's important to me,
Yeah.
but you know, I skip over everything else. I just don't want to because it annoys me. It bothers me when people do that. You know, the fact that there's a platform out there and people want to use it, that's fine, but I'm not sure that's what it was meant for.
I mean, they
Let's
say
make this so
that
that people can fight with each other.
they
You know,
said that people
online.
weren't as smart back in the day because the internet wasn't around and there wasn't access to all this information. Well, now you have literally all the information in the world at your fingertips
Correct.
on this little
Yeah.
smartphone device.
Right. Right.
And now it's just more divided and more toxic and just, yeah, you know.
But
You
I
look
think
at
a
someone
lot's
like,
got to do with entitlement.
yeah, yeah.
They
I
feel
mean,
entitled to have an opinion. You know, especially well, you know, you can have your own opinion. I agree with you, but you can't. You're not entitled to force that on everybody else. And I think that's where the problem comes in. You know, especially as a company, you know, we get people that will post things that we know is not true. We know it's not true. You know, and they just made that up. You know, there's no way on earth you could have come up with that answer on your own, or you couldn't find it anywhere. You made that up and put it out there, and then if we dispute that, we are the bad guys. You know, so we can't even get involved in some of these conversations when we know the right answer because we get perceived as the bad guys picking on the little guy
or taking a side.
or
Side of
taking a
truth.
side. Fact. Nice.
Yeah.
You have any questions?
Yeah, it's so much easier when you see something you disagree with, or say it's just some
Yeah.
bickering or someone, whatever you crap posting. I'm not going to say the actual
Right.
word, but it's
Yeah.
so much easier to just kind of be like, oh, okay, and move on with your freaking life. Like, just move on.
Exactly.
Like, we don't need your 2 cents. The bank is full.
Yeah.
We don't need any more
Right.
deposits. Questions, no, but I think it's time for the top 5.
Perfect. And you have a top 5 today.
do.
Oh. 5 the top 5 moments in prime. I like this. Did you have names? Are you naming names?
I didn't name any names. We don't name
Oh,
names
come
on the
on.
show.
Step it up, man.
I was too busy playing Best Buy Geek Squad for you earlier in the show, so
I know it.
couldn't
Again.
get to that today. So, yeah, top 5 moments in prize wheel history. You know, I tried looking back. I only have so much on my drive because I offloaded
Yeah.
all the early shows, but we've been doing the prize wheel for almost what I think is close to almost a year now, I think.
Wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
exactly
Whoever
when
thought of
we
that
started
prize
it.
wheel was really pretty smart.
Right. Yeah. Whoever wants to take the credit for that, we thank you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's probably me. Number 5. I mean, the first of many triple ball Arsenal winners.
That's
I mean,
true.
the first time
That's
it ran.
huge.
So we made that little space pretty small by design because it's supposed to be hard to get, you
Right.
know. And we figured
Yeah.
it out to be like, oh, maybe 1 to 2% based on the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Sure.
And we haven't
Yeah.
done it 100 times, and I can guarantee you we've given out more. I think we've given out 3 or 4 of these 3-ball arsenals, something like that.
Yeah.
Costing you a
Because you
fortune.
rigged it to come up every once in a while.
I put the stickum on the little peg, so now it's going to really
see
stick on
that.
there.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. Who can remember this one? Yeah, the shoes,
Shoes
throwaway.
throwaway. Get a grip. No. I don't need the $200 pair of shoes.
I got shoes.
I'm going to spin for, there's only really, if you think about this.
We're losing Phil again. Your internet is so toxic. Well, we got another 15 minutes out of Phil this round, but anyway, we'll let him join back in once he gets back on his internet. I think he's got to put more than a few nickels into his router this time. So, number 3, the triple roller throwback. Got a grip sack. It almost seems like if you throw away a decent prize, and I don't know, it's up for debate. Triple tote, triple roller, backpack. If you throw something like that back, where you're like, oh wow, yeah, they're really going for it. It seems like you're gonna get a grip sack, and that's been the inside joke for pretty much the last 20 weeks or so, I would think. Anyway, so number 2 of the top 5 moments in prize wheel history. This was pretty recent, the triple grip sack. And Phil was having internet issues just like this. Actually, no, he was on his phone, and his phone died, and he missed the inaugural triple grip sack, which is not to be confused with the triple Lindy. But yeah, the number 2, the triple grip sack, which you didn't even get to see because your phone died on.
Yeah, the phone died. That's right. I ran out of juice. I'm not having a good month. Not having a good quarter.
Yeah,
Year
you're
sucked.
right. You used all your internet up this month.
Telling you, it's terrible.
But yeah, the triple grip sack, that was amazing. And not only that, we spun grip sack in the practice spin.
The practice session, right? Exactly.
Yes, so crazy.
Yeah.
And number 1 moment in prize wheel history. What do you think it is?
I don't know. I'm still. What is it?
The prize wheel debut itself.
The first time we had it. That's true.
Yeah.
Hey, but I want to go back to that one for a second where the guy said, let's get rid of he didn't want the shoes.
Yeah.
There's only 2 gifts on that wheel that are better than that shoe. There's a ball, which is maybe better,
Maybe comparable.
and a 3-ball arsenal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Price-wise, that's it.
Big throwaway.
Big throwaway.
Hey,
Nice.
that's why they call it gambling.
That's why they call it the life of the gambler. So,
Speaking of gambling, are you ever going to get your picks in order?
oh my God, I'm terrible this year. But you know what? I did well on Saturday, this week, and lost it all back on Sunday. The week before, I did bad on Saturday and won it all back on Sunday. So, one weekend I'm going to put it all together. As far as the pool picks go, unbelievable.
I might as well not even get out the highlighter because I have nothing to
even do it.
highlight.
That's right.
I'm going
It's
to post
terrible.
the WooBox link one more time since I see some people asking for it. But yeah, WooBox is good till the
Yep.
top of the hour. Get your entries
Right.
in. I wonder how many entries we've got so far. I'm going to refresh that and see what we got.
Take a peek.
Yeah, we got 350 people watching. Thank you
That's
for
a big
being part
crowd.
of our,
That's a big
thank you
crowd for a
for
Wednesday
being part
afternoon.
of our toxic environment here.
That's it. We're going to move way up on that list in Russia this week. I know we are.
190 people watching. It's all I'm not watching entered so far. So get those.
It's a good ratio of enter to watch ratio. It's the E to W ratio, we call it. The enter to watch ratio. That's it. So,
Cutting out. My internet
Again?
cut out a little bit right there. Not
oh, maybe it's
again.
you.
It's knock it off. I just saw the little Wi-Fi thing pop up. I'm not even on the Wi-Fi, but it just shows when my internet gets slow. Maybe I need to feed a few more quarters into the wall here where my internet is plugged
Exactly. Yeah.
in. So, getting back on the topic,
Yeah.
and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about more recent stuff, and
Yeah.
with the advent of like YouTube and Reels and Shorts and all the videos that people are doing, we're starting to see a lot more pop up where people are recording themselves starting channels,
Yep.
starting
Yep.
vlogs. All this stuff is we see a lot of people getting kind of made fun of for trying anything new. If they want to go
Yeah.
out there and record
Yeah.
themselves bowling league or record themselves with a new ball, you get some pretty nasty comments, just kind of degrading what they're trying to do as far as effort. It may be their first
Yeah.
try, it might be whatever, but there's literally no support from bowler to bowler. And
Right.
doubling down on that, when you're talking like honor scores and when you see people shoot, numbers, it's like it's often meant with like not congratulations, but with
Yeah.
they missed 5 boards. Oh, lanes are walled. Oh, bowl somewhere hard. Oh,
It's
why
what you're
don't you bowl?
bowling on. That's the. That's it.
It's just like,
I
and
know.
these are comments you read. These are comments people just post. It's like, how about just, hey, congrats, great game, that's awesome.
They don't
And
even know the guy and they're insulting him.
right, or they don't
Right?
like the
Isn't
way
that
he bowls,
amazing?
or they got a hitch in their swing, or whatever. They
Yeah.
fall off balance. Big deal.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
could
No,
it could
no.
have
I agree with you. I agree.
could have been their
Yeah.
first 300 ever, and you're dogging them on the
Exactly right.
internet for why? Are you that unhappy? Is that it?
I really believe that the people that are on the homeowners association
Wow.
around the world
Tread lightly here.
I know you are um, that have nothing else to do are the ones that are on the internet complaining about the bowlers.
Hmm.
You know, like
And,
our homeowners association is, the guy up the block had passed away and his house was empty, and his kids would come over occasionally from time to time, to take care of it, look after it while they're trying to get it sold. And the homeowners association came to complain about it, and then they went across the street to the lady across the street who's taking care of her elderly mother and said to her, "Can you go out and water their lawn? Because it's making it look bad." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
at that point, if the HOA is so concerned about it, they need to hire a service
Exactly right.
and have it done themselves,
I
and then
agree with you.
just,
I
if they want
agree.
to go to that extent, add it onto
Yeah, yeah,
a bill or something,
yeah.
or whatever, their assessment,
Right.
and make them pay that way. Don't, like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you're getting
That drives me
sidetracked.
crazy. You get involved in that stuff, and that's what the internet does for some people. It gives them a place to just sit there and complain about things, and I don't know if they do it because they want to start a conversation or they just want to start trouble. They like stirring the pot.
I don't know.
You know.
But to double down on that,
Yep.
when it comes to any female that's posting videos, bowling,
Hmm.
has anything going on, the amount of vile and disgusting comments
Oh, yeah.
that dudes
Yeah.
leave just
Yeah.
on an everyday
Yeah.
basis. You can talk to any female bowler out there that's posted any video. They will show you all the stuff that's been filtered or deleted or blocked, because some of the stuff is so disgusting and just
Yeah. Yeah.
blatantly like like, what are you thinking about?
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable. The first time I was made aware that this kind of stuff was happening.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
We should hire some people that I know to go visit these people. Two guys named Rocco show up at the guy's house and, "Did you post this?"
it's just obscene.
It's terrible.
It's obscene. It's obscene, and it needs to freaking stop, because that's just
I
disgusting.
agree. I
So,
agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah. What else you got?
And it's the internet. It's the internet's fault. We didn't take away the internet.
I think the internet has gotten people way too comfortable saying
agree.
and running their mouths without the
Yeah,
fear
yeah.
of getting punched. I think. Can you imagine in Brooklyn? People started mouthing off. What happens?
Yeah, we know what happened.
You go
They
take it
got paid a little
outside.
visit. They got
Yeah.
take it outside. You got paid a little visit.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, when the internet was first becoming a tool for marketing, it was great because at the time, we had track. And I was able to be on the same playing field as Ebonite and Brunswick, and it didn't cost me anything. I
Okay.
could market to the same amount of people, and I use it as a marketing tool. Information, distribution. And it was cool because it allowed me to reach the same people that normally I may not reach, because I didn't have the marketing budget. And then from there it became, and I think we companies created that problem because we gave people entitlement too, to go out there and advertise for us. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about influencers.
Yeah, we sure did. And apparently it's going to be a one-way conversation because his internet here is dying again. So we'll wait for Phil to come back here. I'm going to post the WooBox link one last time. You literally have about 4 minutes to get in. Yeah, I'm going to go through some comments here, starting from the bottom. Need a t-shirt shellac. I think I might design something. I got to figure out how it's going to look. But yeah, what a great word, shellac. So, yeah, there was another thing. We need more women in the sport. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, a lot of them that are trying to get out there and make a name for themselves or make YouTubes or make Instagrams or TikToks, the comments are just driving them away. It's affecting them negatively that they stop doing it and they just don't want to deal with it. You know, there's only so many filters that they can go through, and just the messages and the comments are nonstop. And yeah, so I agree. I wish there would be more female influencers out there. I wish they would, you know, you got to have tough skin. You know, you got to not take it to heart. You know, obviously, you can't stop people from posting what they want to post. And unfortunately, that's what they have to deal with. I have some of the best fans in the world, and I don't get that kind of comments on my stuff, though. You know, I get a lot of educational questions, and I help out as best I can. So that's the community I am. So very different on the other side of the fence. So yeah, Grandpa, yeah, it's not just bowling. Every woman who posts online gets attacked at some point. It's sick. Absolutely. 100% agree. It's hard to see. And that's when you just kind of put your phone away and hope for the best for humanity there. Because, you know, if you try to argue with it, then it just makes it worse. So Phil is back.
I'm going to take full responsibility if we drop out of the top 10 in popular internet podcasts.
That is very responsible of you.
Yeah, I'm going to do that for like 5 minutes, and then I'm not taking it anymore.
Yeah. Yep, Stephanie. You men need to calm down with the comments. Not all of you. You're right, because there's just a few.
I think she was directing it at you.
You men. No, she said you men. She didn't say you Brunsnick.
You manly men.
Yep. So,
Good.
yeah, I posted the Woo Box one last time. They got
Good.
right now. They got less than 2 minutes to get in. I'm sure we have over 300 entries at this point now.
Wow, that's a big crowd for a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, 319. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
Yep.
So
what else you got on your list for toxic things?
I think I've covered all my toxicities.
I
like
have
that
not.
Go. You got time. Go. Use up your time.
Here, my allotted time. I what do they say? I default my 2 minutes to the senator from Michigan.
Exactly.
Whatever they say. I think some pros are toxic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
And here's
You know, go ahead.
not-
I
here's
won't
where I
interrupt you.
think
Go
they're
ahead.
toxic, and it comes back to the internet. Is
Yeah.
in what other sport do you have such accessibility to the best in that sport? Like, you can't just run into, I don't know, Freddie Freeman commenting on a post that says, "Hey, Freeman, you're a bum. You know, you went 0 for 4 tonight. You
Right.
know, oh, hey, you missed that easy ground ball, you bum." You know, he's not
Right.
going to get on there and respond. He's not going to get on there and argue with people. You know,
Why?
but why would he, right?
No. Well, why? Yeah. Right. Why would he? But why would he? Right. Why would he do that?
But some of our
He wouldn't.
pros do.
Why?
No, I'm saying our pros. I'm just saying bowling's pros.
I know, but why? Why do they do it?
Why? I don't know why they do it.
Oh,
Like, it
well,
seems insane to me. What could you possibly have to gain? What are you trying to, like, defend? Something, your ego, your performance, you know, you want to snap back at someone who you know is not as good as you, but they just want to armchair quarterback you. You know,
Right.
it's letting them win. You know, they're getting through to you. They have an accessibility issue, is they can get
Yeah.
to you because you're on Facebook, you're on there. They make a comment, you don't like it, so you respond.
I think a
So,
lot of it's got to do with where a lot of them are at their point in their careers.
that's possible. Yeah, that's part of it.
They
sure.
get to a point where they know they're not as good as they used to be. They know they're not as competitive as they once were, and they get to take that to heart, and then they now are at a situation where there is no future as a bowler. They may not have anything lined up for a job or a career after bowling,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very sensitive to every comment that's made. So they lash back out to justify what they once were, and that you have no right to tell me that. Now, I don't think the person has the right to tell him anything. Anyway, I don't think the guy's posting about him is bad, but getting on there and arguing with them is the worst thing on the world. But the reason they do it is because I think they just feel that they have to defend themselves.
Yeah, and their whole
And this,
self-image is based on their accolades
yeah,
as a bowler, as a pro,
right,
and when that starts slipping away, because you can't play this
sure,
game forever, at the
that's
highest
exactly
level.
right.
It's
That's
just like in
right.
Moneyball. Everybody gets told that they can no
That's
longer
it.
play the kids' game. Some are told at 18, some are told at 40, but everybody's
That's
told.
right.
You
I'm
know,
I'm 72. I was told. I play this
you were
game.
you were told at a very young age.
It's very, very young age, 72. But I agree with that, and that's part of the problem in our industry, that people post things because they feel they have the right to, but they also do it to trigger a response.
They're trolling.
And the worst person, yeah, it's called trolling, I guess. The worst person to do that is the pros.
Hmm.
I mean, we pay the pros a lot of money to do what they do. Believe me, they can't make a living on tour without the sponsorships of the manufacturers. And then we have to deal with some of these issues, like where they get in arguments at bowling centers with fans. Um, they make fools of themselves on TV. All of this stuff makes it less professional.
Sure.
You know, I mean, like you said, they make themselves accessible to the public, which we can debate that another time. But yet, once they are, they don't know how to handle it. And getting into it, getting into arguments with the fans, and it's just bad. It's terrible. And that brings the game down.
Well, you get to them. It's like
Yeah,
I can heckle baseball players from the stands, and they're gonna hear me.
yeah, yeah,
They're not
yeah,
gonna respond.
yeah.
They're not gonna come after me in the stands. Very rare can you get to anybody, and we were very toxic back in the day, especially during
Right.
like the San Francisco rivalries.
Oh, I bet.
We
Yeah.
had a bunch of us in left field sitting behind Bonds with cheater written across our chests. You know,
Nice.
but
I went to a ball game when I was a kid. I think I was in college actually. When I went, and I went with my dad, and my brother, and Dwight Gooden was pitching for the Mets. And it's probably after college. Anyway, they're playing the Dodgers, and I don't know who got up, hit a home run off of Gooden to right field. He swung late. Gooden thrown it 100. The guy hit it out right, and the guy next to us, a kid next to us, is yelling at the guy to hit the home run. And he sat back down. He's turned around looking for a comment from me, and I said, wow, "That's pretty vocal." He goes, "Yeah, that guy sucks." Blah, 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 blah.
and we just lost Phil one more time here. So I'm gonna try to find some questions here and see what I can find in the chat and see what we got here. Um, there was a time when the PBA would have banned players for some of the things I see now. Yeah, I mean, it used to be a very gentleman's club. It used to be they used to write people up and fine them for outlandish things. Now they almost celebrate it because, hey, maybe the PBA is toxic too. They're in the business of, selling TV time and commercials. So if it's good for TV, you know, maybe that's what they're after. They want that kind of drama. They want that toxic behavior. They want their pros yelling at fans. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. It's not very professional, but go on with yourself. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, another, the standards of professional has lowered. Don't know if I agree. I mean, the level of skill, yes. The level of tact, maybe so. So, let's see what we got here. Um, Phil is back. Here we go. Phil,
I'm running out
Maybe
of
he's back.
change.
I don't know. No, he's not. That was a
I'm
fake
back.
out.
I'm not back?
Yeah, I'll try again. Haven't seen him yet. So we'll wait for him to come back here. Someone said a new name for a ball was going to be the shellac attack, and I think that's fantastic. Um, let's see. We got you there, Phil?
I'm back, ain't I?
Good job.
All right.
Yeah, someone said we need to make the shellac attack.
I heard you. That's fantastic. The shellac.
Shellac attack.
What are you throwing? Shellac attack.
I'm shellacking the pins.
So,
But yeah. Anyway, so I think that pretty much covers it all. We ready to pick a winner or what?
yeah.
You ready to wind this down? Anything else you
Look at the
wanted to
clock.
add?
No. I mean, you made a good point with the about the professionalism,
Yeah.
of the players. I think that makes it worse. You can be approachable. Coming from me, the
without
least
being
approachable
overly
guy on the
accessible,
planet.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's like you're there if you're in the pro-am, that's your time to interact with fans.
Yeah.
If you're bowling
yeah.
the tournament,
Mhm.
there's that wall that's kind of invisible there, but
Exactly.
you can engage with
Yeah.
fans, you can react to them cheering for you or whatever. But
Right, but you got to keep it at that, and when you
oh, Phil, my goodness, your internet killing me today. So we'll give him one more minute to try to get back on here, but he's definitely having some issues towards the end here. Let me see what if I can find here. Yeah, maybe we can spin the wheel for Phil's internet. I think he's just been moving his hand around a little bit too much, and it's affecting his Wi-Fi or whatever he's on. But maybe if we all do like a $1 donation to Phil's internet fund, we can get him upgraded off of the AOL dial-up, and maybe we can get him onto a nice land, off of the internet into a high-speed situation. Because obviously, he's having trouble today. His internet is toxic. So, Bobby, when are we going to get a reboot of all the old Infernos with HK22 covers? I don't know. That is a good question. I don't have that answer. I don't know if that will happen. So, stay tuned. Maybe they might make a comeback, but seems like the trend has been more so asymmetrical bowling balls. When you think of high performance, that core that was used in Infernos, it was good for the time. And that's the other thing is like the Infernos were a high end ball back then, and those are symmetric. Now to find a symmetric ball at the very high end is very rare. I don't know if it happens anymore. I don't think it happens on our end, but to find a symmetrical ball on the pro performance, I don't think that's a thing anymore. So, I mean, I would love to see HK22 on that core, but I will go ahead and accept ones that we have already, like Vaporize. It's on its own classic type core. Love it. That ball is fantastic. I encourage you all to get one. Jim, I think when someone threatens your livelihood, you get very defensive, right? And if a pro has an off season or they don't bowl as well as they think they should have, yeah, it's very easy to kind of let that dwell on you because, at the outside of the top 10 bowlers in the world, it's not a very great living once you factor in all the expenses and all your travel and all that stuff. It's not a very easy lifestyle. So let me add back into the stage. Phil, welcome back.
What I miss?
I was just taking questions and filling time. But
Good.
we're going to do the giveaway so we can wrap up the show before your internet
ready.
completely implodes on itself.
I'm telling you, I run out of quarters already.
Are you ready? You got your
I am
timer?
ready.
All right.
I got it. Who's the winner?
We're gonna pick the winner.
Hey, what happens if they pick the winner? I start the clock and I go away.
I'll try to keep track. Joshua Perry, you're the winner this week. So start it up. 90 seconds.
He's
Check in
got
with
until
us.
I get back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the time right now on my clock here, 109:44. That's how long we've been on the air. But
Yeah.
Joshua Perry, not any relation with Steve Perry, the singer. I wonder.
Yeah.
I always ask those questions.
Well, Perry Mason, the attorney. No.
I don't think so.
Huh.
Joshua.
How about the
Perry.
guy that went to the North Pole?
Who's that?
Perry.
Santa Claus?
Not him. The other guy.
Anywho, how much
All
time
right,
you got
40.
left?
He's got 50 seconds.
Joshua
No,
Perry, you better
50.
check,
Not yet,
check
90,
in.
right.
Check
Okay,
in.
here we go.
Joshua.
40 seconds.
Josh.
Josh.
He's quickly trying to change his name on YouTube to Joshua Perry. So
He is.
check in.
60 seconds. He's got 20 seconds left.
Check
30
in.
seconds.
Joshua.
30 seconds.
Joshua.
30 seconds.
Well, I mean, if
Josh.
he's not here, we're just going to spin, and that's what he's going to get, and I will reach
That's it.
out after
The
the
first
show.
time in a while we had that happen.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
So, it's
that's
not
right.
as fun. Doesn't seem as fun if they're not
No.
actually in the chat.
So he's only got 10 seconds left.
Man. He's
9,
probably going to win a
8,
3-ball Arsenal. You know
7.
that, right?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Josh, you're out.
Josh, you're going to get one
That
spin
was it,
and
man.
one spin only. People
You're
said
getting
they,
one spin.
they identify. People said they identify as Joshua Perry.
I identify as Joshua Perry this week.
Yeah, maybe his internet froze.
Never saw that happen.
At what point are we going to have to say that you have to be present to win? What do you think?
Well, that's true. That's true. Maybe we'll do that.
But
Let me
not
think
this
about
week.
that.
Yeah, we'll think
No,
about
no.
that. We're not
We'll have to
picking a
think
new
about
name
that.
this week.
No.
They're not here. They're not here. It's going to be one of those things. So
Yeah, it's going to prolong the show, so people have to want to hang out. Because the guy's not there, then we got to pick another name.
Yep. So we'll consider it for next week. That
Maybe
might have
you got to
to
be present to win.
Yep. And you have to. We're
All
gonna
right.
quiz you on what happened during the show to see if you were really around.
We have the magic word.
All right,
Today's
so this
magic
is going to be
word
one
is-
spin and done since he did not check in after 90 seconds. So that's the rule right now. So
That's right.
Uh,
Here it
wish
is,
you
Josh.
luck.
I hope it's something good.
I hope it's something great. It's probably going to be a 3-ball roller. I don't know.
Could be
not
a grip
3-ball
sack.
roller, 3-ball Arsenal. But hey, maybe it'll be a grip sack, and we'll email him with the grip sack. We'll see.
That's right.
Here we
Here we
go.
go.
Good luck to you, Joshua Perry. This is what you're going to win. Come on, 3-ball
Joshua
Arsenal.
Perry.
I'm excited for it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, no, it's passed. Oh,
Oh.
new ball. He's going to get a new ball.
God.
This is just costing you so much money. You get the best prizes when you're not here.
I'm telling you. Well, Josh, your new ball is a T-zone.
Do you want a T-zone? You got 90 seconds to check in
90
and tell
seconds
me no.
to tell us if you want a T-zone or not. Oh, my God. Nick, I apologize for my internet. Nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control.
I mean, you can try paying your bill. That would start, yeah.
I always pay my bills. You know. I stuff cash in the envelope, mail it to them every week.
Yeah, sure you do. Well, maybe mail them some more money. How about that?
That's it.
So
All right.
that's it
next
for the
week-
that's it for the week
Next
of
week is
toxicity.
next Wednesday. Is that the playoffs? Next Wednesday?
Yeah,
Playoffs, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Yankees are not going to be playing next week.
Yeah, we got your birthday this week, and we got my birthday next week.
Your birthday is next week. What day is your birthday next week?
It is not the day that we do the podcast. I'll just leave it at that. You don't have it in your phone? It's not in your calendar? I got yours.
It's on my calendar.
I got yours in my calendar.
It's on my calendar. Nick's birthday.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
You're a
We'll
toxic
see you
friend-
guys
toxic friend.
next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sure. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Joshua Perry, if you're watching this later and you're pumped now because you just saw your name get pulled for a new ball, you're going to
Yeah,
be
we
even more
took the ball
pumped when
away.
you see the email that I'm going to send you for
That
the
says
new ball.
new
So,
ball, Josh.
Radical ball coming your way. So everybody else,
All right, we'll see you guys next
Take
week.
care.
Nick, thank you very much. Good job. Good
Yeah.
topics. You did good
Hey.
today. For you.
I had to be good because I had to deal with how many times you
telling
cut
you,
out
it's
there. I think that was
brutal.
like 6 times at least, something
I'm
like that.
telling you, it's
So,
bad. I don't know why.
I'm telling you,
I
just
don't know why.
go get yourself a MacBook, please. Just go buy a MacBook or have
No.
Send them an email. It's like, hey, I need a new MacBook. Nick says I need it for the podcast.
Send who? Any Brunswick?
IT, yeah.
IT. I need a new MacBook. No.
I need a MacBook because we're doing a lot of live streaming now.
So you tell him that. You're there. Go upstairs and stroll up there to the IT department.
I don't stroll. I saunter up there.
All right, saunter.
I don't go
was
upstairs for any other reason because they don't have an elevator here, so I don't do it. I have no business upstairs.
Go upstairs, saunter upstairs, and tell him that Phil's internet keeps cutting out. We need a MacBook because that has nothing to do with internet.
how about I got an idea? I'll get the brand new MacBook, and I'll have them send you my old MacBook.
Do it. I don't care.
I don't care.
You think they'll let you do that?
Probably not.
All right, there you go. Great idea.
Probably not. They'll probably
All
be
right,
like,
we'll
"This is a
see."
terrible idea," and they'll post some comments, and they'll be like, "Ah, rah, 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 rah."
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna look
Right.
through the comments today for a little bit.
That's good. You're gonna be like, "I didn't see that earlier. I didn't see that earlier. I didn't see that
I didn't see
earlier."
any of it. All right. Hey guys, we'll see you next week. Root for the Yankees. If you're not on the show next week, and if you
Yeah.
are, we'll talk about them then.
See ya.
October's gonna be fun.